I freeze with my champagne glass suspended halfway to my lips, staring at the elegant calligraphy that fills the wedding reception seating chart. My eyes scan the list once, twice, 3 times, searching for my name at the Morgan family table. It's not there. Instead, I find Jenna Morgan tucked away at table 14, alongside the wedding photographer, DJ, and what appears to be a server. Not with my parents. Not with my brother Daniel, the groom. Not with any family at all. My stomach hollows out as though I've missed a step going downstairs. Around me, the rustle of expensive fabrics and murmur of excited voices at the Bainbridge Island venue fade to white noise. Just yesterday, I stood on a stage in San Diego accepting a national advertising award, my team applauding as I delivered a speech I'd rehearsed for weeks. Now I'm invisible. Oh, Jenna, there you are. My mother approaches in a powder blue dress that matches her carefully arranged silver hair. Her gaze flicks to the seating chart, then back to me, her expression pleasantly neutral, as though nothing is amiss. The main table was full, honey. You don't mind, right? She adjusts her pearl necklace, her wedding ring catching the light. I swallow hard, remembering Daniel's engagement dinner 6 months ago. The questions had started before the appetizers arrived. 31 and still single? The clock is ticking, Jenna, my aunt had commented while spreading butter on her bread. Mom had patted my hand with practiced sympathy. Some women focus on careers to compensate for not having families of their own. Jenna's won several awards this year. The way she'd said it, like my professional achievements, were consolation prizes for failing at what really mattered. Dad had nodded sagely, raising his glass to Daniel and his fiancée Sarah. To building a proper family, he'd toasted, his eyes sliding past me. Now I steady my breathing, fighting the tremor in my hand as I lower my champagne glass. Are any other family members seated elsewhere? I ask, my voice calmer than I feel. Mom's smile tightens almost imperceptibly. Everyone who matters is at the family table. The words land like a slap. Everyone who matters. The implication couldn't be clearer if she'd written it in the same elegant calligraphy as the seating chart. I feel something shift inside me, a small, quiet click, like a lock turning. The trembling in my hand stops. I straighten my spine, feeling each vertebra align, and smooth down the front of my burgundy dress. I see, I say, turning toward table 14 without another word. My father passes by as I move, champagne in hand, deep in conversation with Daniel's future father-in-law. His eyes meet mine briefly, registering my expression, the seating chart behind me. He hesitates for a half-second before continuing on, pretending not to notice. For years, I've maintained the family fiction told colleagues and friends about our close-knit family, posted carefully selected holiday photos on social media, deflected questions about why I always came to gatherings alone. This public dismissal threatens to unravel that carefully constructed facade, exposing the truth I've been hiding, even from myself. I stand rooted between 2 paths. I could march up to Daniel, demand to know why his only sister has been relegated to sitting with the staff. Create the scene this elegant venue with its crystal chandeliers and ocean views seems designed to showcase. Or I could take my assigned seat without complaint, preserve the peace, play the role I've always played. The moment stretches, fine and taut as a violin string. All around me, guests laugh and toast to the happy couple, oblivious to the small drama unfolding by the seating chart. To them, I'm just another well-dressed attendee at a beautiful wedding. They can't see the invisible chair that's been pulled out from under me, leaving me suspended in midair, about to fall. I take a deep breath and make my choice. I pretend to study the appetizer menu while positioning myself near the bar where my Aunt Margaret corners Daniel. She doesn't notice me, people rarely do when I'm not speaking. The champagne in my glass has gone flat, matching how I feel inside. Daniel, why isn't Jenna sitting with the family? Margaret asks, her bracelets jingling as she gestures toward the seating chart. There's certainly room at the table. I hold my breath, waiting for his answer, some mention of an oversight, perhaps even an apology I could graciously accept. Daniel adjusts his boutonniere, barely glancing in my direction before answering. She's always absent anyway. Figured she'd be more comfortable with the creative types. The floor seems to tilt beneath me. I reach for the nearest chair back, steadying myself against a truth I've always suspected but never heard spoken aloud. This wasn't about table space. It was deliberate. My brother, who once built blanket forts with me during thunderstorms, had specifically arranged for my exclusion on his wedding day. I watch the cocktail hour unfold like I'm viewing it through someone else's eyes. My family forms a tight circle near the windows overlooking Puget Sound. Mom, Dad, Daniel, and his new wife, Sarah. Their bodies angle toward each other, shoulders creating a natural barrier that requires deliberate effort to penetrate. I remain outside this formation, invisible yet hyper-aware of their every movement. Daniel raises his glass. "I want to thank everyone who's always been there," he announces, his gaze sweeping across our relatives before landing on me with unmistakable meaning. Family isn't just showing up for the big moments, it's being present for the small ones too. Several aunts nod knowingly. I feel my cheeks burn. Sarah leans into Daniel's side, her white dress shimmering in the afternoon light. "We're so excited to start a real family of our own," she says, touching her flat stomach with meaningful emphasis. "Continuing traditions, being present for Sunday dinners, holidays, all the things that matter." My parents beam at the couple. Mom squeezes Sarah's hand. That's what real commitment looks like. The implication hangs in the air like cigarette smoke, suffocating, toxic, impossible to ignore. My choices, my career, my independence, my life in San Diego aren't just different, they're wrong. I approach a cluster of cousins, clutching my purse strap with white knuckles. Their conversation about neighborhood schools halts abruptly when I step into their circle. "Sorry to interrupt," I say, attempting a smile. "We were just talking about PTA stuff," my cousin Rachel explains, though I hadn't asked. "Not really your area." "Right," I say, stepping back. "Excuse me." It happens 3 more times, conversations dying when I approach, relatives suddenly needing refills or bathroom breaks. With each rejection, the knot in my stomach tightens. I retreat to the women's restroom, locking myself in a stall where I press my forehead against the cool metal door. The question that's been haunting me for years resurfaces with painful clarity. What if they're right? What if my life choices are fundamentally flawed? What if success without a husband and children is just an elaborate consolation prize? The paper towel dispenser whirs as I dry my hands, studying my reflection in the mirror. I look put together: burgundy dress, careful makeup, hair styled to hide the stress breakage at my temples. But my eyes give me away, reflecting back a wounded uncertainty I've spent years trying to outrun. When I return to my assigned table, the photographer Lisa, according to her place card, offers a sympathetic smile. "I noticed you're Daniel's sister," she says, adjusting her camera strap. "For what it's worth, I've shot hundreds of weddings, and I've never seen a sibling seated with vendors." Her words cut through the fog of self-doubt. This isn't normal. This isn't acceptable. This isn't just in my head. I stand by our table, watching my family across the room, laughing and toasting while I hold my untouched champagne. The weight of this moment stretches beyond today. It's about every future gathering, every holiday, every life milestone where I'll be expected to accept my assigned place on the periphery. As I stood there with my untouched champagne, I wondered, should I confront my family publicly about their clear message, or should I silently accept their terms and maintain the peace? The choice between truth and harmony felt impossible. What would you do when the people who should value you most make it clear that they don't? Daniel taps his champagne glass, the crystal ping silencing the reception chatter. I straighten in my seat at table 14, angling my body toward the main family table where my brother stands, radiant in his tuxedo. His smile spreads wide as he surveys the crowd. "I want to thank everyone who made this day special," Daniel begins. "Mom and Dad, who taught me what real commitment looks like." He raises his glass toward our parents. "Sarah's family for welcoming me so warmly. My groomsmen, who've been my brothers in all but blood." He continues naming relatives, friends, even Sarah's second cousin who flew in from Florida. The list stretches on until I realize he's methodically thanked everyone except me. Just as the omission becomes obvious, Daniel's gaze finally lands on my table. "And to my sister Jenna, thanks for showing up. We know work always comes first with you." Laughter ripples through the crowd. I force my lips into a smile while my cheeks burn. Several guests glance my way with that particular mix of amusement and pity reserved for unmarried career women at family functions. My phone vibrates against the table. 3 notifications from work light up the screen. A client emergency, creative director asking for immediate feedback, major campaign metrics dropping unexpectedly. I've been handling these crises silently between speeches, stepping away for hushed calls when possible. "At least someone values your input." Mark the DJ whispers beside me, nodding toward my phone. After Daniel's speech, Aunt Patricia corners me by the dessert table. "Finally made time for family, I see," She pats my arm with fingers adorned by a 50-year wedding band. Though I suppose we should be grateful you managed to put your career aside for one day. Uncle Robert joins her. That advertising award won't keep you warm at night, Jenna. He winks like he's sharing profound wisdom. I excuse myself to the bathroom, locking the stall door before letting my shoulders slump. In the mirror outside, I dab concealer under my eyes, fighting back tears that threaten to ruin my carefully applied makeup. The woman reflected back, looks polished on the outside, burgundy dress smooth, lipstick perfect, hair swept up elegantly while crumbling inside. I pull out my phone and open my notes app, creating a new entry titled Wedding Documented Patterns. I type quickly. Seated with vendors, not family. Daniel's speech. Thanked everyone by name except me. Then publicly called out my work as if it's a character flaw. Aunt Patricia's finally made time comment. Uncle Robert dismissing career achievements. The act of documenting brings a strange comfort, like building evidence for a trial I never intend to bring. The reception shifts to dancing. From my peripheral table, I watch my parents sway together. Daniel and Sarah locked in a loving embrace, cousins laughing as they twirl under crystal chandeliers. Mark the DJ glances at me, then unplugs one of his earbuds and offers it to me. Family dances can be brutal when you're watching from the sidelines, he says, sliding his phone toward me. Pick something better. I scroll through his playlist and select an old indie song I loved in college. As the sentimental family dance continues on the floor, a different rhythm fills my ear. Sometimes the best view is from the outside, Mark says with a knowing smile. You see things clearly from here. Later, during the cake cutting, I stand in a quiet corner of the venue's garden. The setting sun paints the sky in shades of pink and gold, a beautiful backdrop to my isolation. Jenna. My mother's voice startles me. She approaches in her powder blue dress, pearls gleaming at her throat. Why aren't you taking photos with the family? People will notice. The words hit me like a revelation. After excluding me all day, her concern is only about appearances. People noticed when you seated your daughter with the staff, I reply, my voice steadier than I expected. Mother's perfect composure falters. There were practical considerations. The tables only seat 8. There are 9 people at the family table right now, I say. I counted. Well, Daniel wanted Sarah's college roommate there, and you know how important first impressions are with the new in-laws and… It's fine, I interrupt. You've made your priorities clear. She reaches for my arm. Don't be dramatic, Jenna. This isn't about priorities. But standing there, watching her stammering attempts to justify the unjustifiable, something crystallizes within me. I've spent years accepting mistreatment, making excuses, contorting myself to maintain relationships with people who simply don't value me. I've believed that if I just achieved enough, proved myself enough, they might finally make room. The realization doesn't arrive with thunder, just quiet clarity. I'm not being dramatic, I say. I'm being honest about what's happening. Mother's lips press into a thin line as she walks away. Lisa, the photographer, approaches me moments later. I couldn't help overhearing, she says. For what it's worth, I'd love to take some portraits of just you in the garden gazebo. The lighting's perfect right now, and that dress deserves to be documented. For 20 minutes, I pose against blooming roses and elegant archways while Lisa captures images that don't require me to stand on the margins of someone else's spotlight. When I return to the reception, Mark plays my requested song. A few guests I barely know invite me to join their table. I accept, holding my head higher than before, engaging in conversations where I'm not constantly reminded of my supposed deficiencies. As the evening progresses toward final speeches and family photos, I make a decision. I collect my small clutch purse and wedding gift, a crystal vase I'd carefully selected months ago. Without fanfare, I begin moving toward the exit. The main doors of the venue are just ahead when I hear Daniel's voice calling my name from across the crowded room. I turn to face Daniel, my spine straight as a ruler. The wedding reception bustles around us, but in this moment, there's only my brother and me, locked in a silent battle of wills. His confident smile wavers as he registers my composure. This isn't the flustered, accommodating sister he expected. You're leaving? Daniel asks, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. The cake cutting is next. The gift box in my hands suddenly feels heavy, a burden I no longer wish to carry. I spot a server passing with an empty tray and make my decision. Would you mind adding this to the gift table? I ask, handing over the carefully wrapped package. The server nods, accepting it with a professional smile. Daniel's confident smile falters as he processes what I've done, deliberately handing my gift to someone else rather than to him. It's a small act of defiance, but his expression tells me it lands exactly as intended. "What are you doing?" he asks, his voice lower now. "Exactly what you think I'm doing," I reply, my tone level and controlled. "I'm leaving." Daniel steps closer, his voice rising again. "Early as usual? Some things never change, do they, Jen? Always the first to run when family's involved." Several guests turn toward us, champagne glasses paused midway to their lips. This is exactly what I'd wanted to avoid becoming a spectacle at his wedding. But now that he's created one, I stand my ground. "Is that what you tell people?" I ask, keeping my voice steady. "That I run from family?" A couple I recognize as Sarah's cousins exchange glances. An elderly aunt leans toward her companion, whispering behind her hand. Daniel's attempt to shame me has only pulled back the curtain on our family dynamic for all to see. "Look, I didn't mean," Daniel begins, suddenly aware of his audience. "You meant exactly what you said," I interrupt. "Just like you meant it when you seated me with the vendors instead of family." His jaw tightens. We've never spoken to each other this way, certainly not in public. For years I've swallowed my hurt, made excuses for their behavior, pretended everything was fine. The familiar urge to apologize, to smooth things over, rises in my throat, but I don't, not this time. When Daniel demanded to know where I was going, I had to choose, explain myself, and validate his authority, or simply leave without justification. In that moment, did I owe my family an explanation for protecting my dignity? "Jenna." The voice comes from behind me. Lisa, the wedding photographer, steps forward, camera hanging around her neck. "Sorry to interrupt, but I've photographed hundreds of family events, and I've never seen siblings seated apart at the reception." Daniel's face flushes. "This is between family." "Which is exactly why I found it odd," Lisa continues, her professional smile never faltering. "Usually families want to be together in photos, memories, everything." Before Daniel can respond, the DJ's voice booms through the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the special mother-son dance. Daniel, could you and your mother please make your way to the dance floor?" Mark, the DJ from my table, catches my eye and gives me a subtle nod. The perfect distraction, perfectly timed. Guests shift their attention toward the dance floor, where my mother stands waiting, her powder blue dress catching the light. She spots Daniel and me, her expression changing from anticipation to concern as she registers the tension between us. I take a deep breath, grateful for the moment to collect myself. I hadn't expected allies here, certainly not from the vendors my family deemed appropriate company for me. Mother abandons her position by the dance floor and hurries toward us, her smile strained. "Daniel, everyone's waiting." Then to me, "Jenna, what's happening? People are starting to notice." That's her concern, not that I'm hurt, but that people might notice. Image over substance, as always. "I'm leaving, Mom," I say simply. "Leaving? But the family photos, what will people think?" Behind her, my father approaches slowly, his gaze fixed on the scene unfolding before him. His expression shifts from confusion to discomfort as he realizes what's happening. For the first time today, he truly looks at me, taking in the straight set of my shoulders, the resolve in my eyes. "Jenna," he begins, but I shake my head. "I'll be in touch after the honeymoon," I tell them, my voice quiet but firm. "Not tonight." I take a step back, then another. With each step, I feel something loosen in my chest, a knot I've carried for so long I'd forgotten it was there. The evening air cools my flushed cheeks as I stand near the exit, my rideshare already confirmed on my phone. Mom's fingers clutch my wrist with surprising strength, her powder blue dress now slightly wrinkled after hours of celebration. "There's been a misunderstanding, Jenna." Her voice drops to that familiar whisper reserved for family corrections. "We can make room at the table now. Some of your father's cousins are leaving early." Dad hovers beside her, his eyes darting to a cluster of guests by the coat check. He straightens his tie, a nervous habit I've seen at every uncomfortable family gathering since childhood. "Just a mix-up with the seating chart," Daniel adds, stepping closer. The slight slur in his words betrays the number of champagne toasts he's participated in. "Come back inside. The photographer wants more family shots." Mom leans in, her perfume overwhelming as she whispers, "Don't ruin his special day over something so small, honey." Something so small. The words echo in my head, familiar diminishment wrapped in maternal concern. I study their faces, Mom's forced smile, Dad checking if anyone's watching this uncomfortable family tableau, Daniel's impatient fidgeting. I take a deliberate breath and reach for my phone. With steady fingers, I pull up the photo I took hours ago when I first discovered my relegation to the vendor's table. I hold the screen toward them, the evidence impossible to dismiss. This isn't a mix-up, I say, my voice surprisingly calm. Look at the chart. My name was deliberately placed with the vendors. Lisa, the photographer, saw it too. She told me she's never seen a sibling seated with staff in hundreds of weddings. Mom's mouth opens slightly, then closes. Dad suddenly finds his shoes fascinating. I'm not ruining anything. I continue, holding the phone steady. I'm just acknowledging what you've already done, what you've been doing for years. Daniel attempts to wave away the evidence. You're being dramatic. It was just what? Just another way to show me where I stand? Or where I don't stand, apparently. My voice remains level despite the anger simmering beneath my words. I've spent years pretending not to notice how you all talk about my life choices, how you frame my career as some consolation prize for not following your approved life path. Several departing guests slow their pace, pretending not to listen while clearly absorbing every word. In the lobby's soft lighting, our family drama unfolds like a theater production, complete with audience. I reach into my clutch and remove my untouched place card from table 14, holding it between my thumb and forefinger like something found at the bottom of a lake. With deliberate movements, I extend it toward Daniel. Keep this as a reminder of the choice you made today. Daniel's face flushes. You've always been too sensitive. This is exactly why. Why what, Daniel? Sarah appears beside him, her white gown gleaming under the chandeliers. Her smile falters as she reads the room. What's happening? Before Daniel can answer, I turn to Sarah. Our eyes meet, woman to woman, new sister to departing one. Congratulations on your wedding, Sarah. It was beautiful. I maintain steady eye contact. I hope your family always makes space for you at their table. Sarah's eyes widen slightly as understanding dawns. She glances at the place card still extended in my hand, then at her new husband. Jenna, wait, Mom begins, but I've already turned toward the glass doors where my rideshare has pulled up, right on time. I walk away without looking back, my heels clicking against the marble floor with satisfying finality. Behind me, I hear the murmur of confused questions, Daniel's defensive tone, Sarah's concerned voice rising slightly above the others. The cool evening air welcomes me as the doors swing open. 2 minutes later, the driver confirms my name as I slide into the back seat, the quiet sanctuary of the car embracing me. As we pull away from the waterfront venue, its lights growing smaller in the distance, my phone begins to vibrate. One notification after another illuminates the screen. Mom, Dad, even Daniel. I watch their names appear and disappear without opening a single message. The weight that's been pressing on my chest all evening begins to lift, replaced by something unfamiliar, a lightness that feels dangerous and exhilarating at once. For 31 years, I've been the family peacekeeper, the one who smooths over conflicts and accepts scraps of acknowledgement with gratitude. Tonight, I walked away from that role without apology. Will I respond to their messages? Set this moment as the first of many boundaries? Or will family gravity pull me back into orbit around their sun? The car turns onto the coastal road, and I direct the driver to a small beachside bar I remember from college visits to the island. As we pull into the parking lot, I spot a familiar figure behind the counter through the windows. Zach, my old college friend, arranging glasses with the same methodical precision I remember from our study sessions years ago. Through the windshield, the warm light of the bar beckons, promising conversation with someone who might actually be interested in hearing about my award, my life, my choices. Someone who might make space for me at their table without being asked. I silence my still vibrating phone and step out of the car, toward a different kind of gathering. A year later, I stand at the head of my dining table, admiring the mismatched chairs filled with friends bathed in the warm glow of string lights strung across my San Diego apartment. The November sunset filters through the windows, casting everyone in a honeyed light that feels like a visual representation of the warmth in my chest. Before we dig in, I say, lifting my wine glass, I want to thank you all for making this Friendsgiving so special. A year ago, I learned what it feels like when people don't make space for you. My voice catches slightly, but unlike a year ago, no shame follows. Today, I'm grateful to have built a table where everyone belongs. Lisa, who's traded her wedding photographer gear for casual attire, raises her glass. To tables with no assigned seating, she quips, earning appreciative laughter. I catch myself grinning as I survey the faces around me, colleagues who've become friends, neighbors who've become confidants, and most surprisingly, Mark, the wedding DJ who kept in touch after that fateful day. Each person here knows my story. Each person chose to be part of the next chapter. My phone buzzes against the countertop. I check it while passing a basket of rolls to Carlos from the marketing team. It's a text from my mother. Daniel and Sarah's baby announcement party next Saturday. They're hoping their aunt will attend. RSVP needed by Wednesday. A year ago, this message would have triggered an avalanche of guilt, followed by schedule rearranging and flight booking. My fingers hover over the screen, then type simply, "Congratulations to them. I have commitments here that weekend, but send my love." I set the phone down without apologizing, without justification, without the familiar knot of anxiety. The boundary feels like a comfortable sweater now, no longer the stiff, scratchy garment it once was. "Everything okay?" asks Mark, noticing my momentary distraction. "Actually, yes," I answer, surprised by how true it feels. "Family stuff, but I'm right where I need to be." The conversation flows around the table stories of workplace disasters, dating app horror stories, plans for the holidays. No one questions my worth or measures my success by matrimonial status. No one suggests my career achievements compensate for personal failings. Zach emerges from the kitchen with an apple pie balanced precariously on one hand, ice cream in the other. His friendship, rekindled that night at the beachside bar after I fled the wedding, has been the unexpected treasure of this difficult year. "I propose a toast," he announces, setting down dessert. He lifts his glass, his expression unusually serious for someone who treats most of life as material for his next comedy set. "To chosen family and tables where everyone belongs." The simple words hang in the air, profound in their truth. Glasses clink as murmurs of agreement ripple around the table. Later, after dishes are cleared and leftovers distributed, I post photos of our gathering online. Within minutes, notifications appear: likes, comments, but also an email from my mother. "The pictures look lovely," she writes. "You should have been at the main table that day." I read the message twice, recognizing the closest thing to an apology I'll likely receive. My reply is neither angry nor anxious. I've already claimed my space. That night, I opened my journal, a habit formed in the aftermath of the wedding when I needed to untangle my thoughts. The page fills with reflections not about what I've lost, but what I've built. Today, I sat at the table I built with people who truly see me. I write. As I close my journal, I wonder if true family is defined by blood or by who makes space for you at their table. Have you ever had to build your own table when you weren't welcome at another's? What did you learn about yourself in that process?